So there's always a lot of issues that I see with students' renders, especially when they're presenting their architectural projects. I want us to go over the 5 most important things that I think people should be doing to explain their concept and be efficient. So this is going to be a video. I'm going to use an old render that I did, I think, a year ago. And we're going to go through and I'm going to show how I did it and how I used minimal time to get to what I did. So let's get into it. Now, typically you would have a finished project, but in this case, I just developed a sort of a front image to get my composition. This is the image here, the final product. So I'm going to show you how I set it up and what was the best way to get the lighting and the effects that I wanted to portray. So I started modeling this up in ArchiCAD, just basic shapes, trying to get the idea of where I wanted to set up the composition, because setting up the scene is the most important thing. If you're going to model things that people aren't going to see, there's no point in doing it. You may as well just not do it. So whatever your project is, make sure you set this up at the start, and then you can start adding detail after that. I'm using Lumion in this case. D5 or Twinmotion is good, but you wanna kind of set this up at the start to kind of get an idea of your scene and what people will see in your presentation. Now, as you can see here, I'm just going through and modeling step by step, but as I'm modeling, I'm also switching back to my rendering software and keeping track of what's visible and what's not. So if I'm going too far out of the view range, I'll be like, okay, sure, let's pull it back. We're not going to see it. So just keeping track of what you're going to be seeing and what you want the user to see. And also this is important in the later stages of post-production because you can then manipulate these sort of things. So once you've started modeling things up and things are looking a little bit, cohesive, you can start playing around with the lighting. That's the next big thing, lighting. Always, while you're modeling and while you're adding materials, make sure you're setting up your lighting, you're adding different ambience, you're changing the skies, and you're playing around with what it could look like when it's dark, what it looks like when it's light. Because this is so important, especially once you export this into your Photoshop file. You need to make sure that the lighting is at least semi-decent in your rendering software, so then you can manipulate it and get the look that you're going for your project. So I'm just going to time lapse this, but this is just me adding little details because this is the next step. Always add details. The little details, you may not think it, but it matters. Once you start adding these little things, you'll start to realize that your render pops, and even the minuscule little details as a gutter, or maybe like as I'm doing here, like a number on the house. These are the things that kind of pop and they show. So always add these. Now, once you're happy with your final product in the rendering software, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can export this. In my case, Lumion, you can export alpha channels and sky channels, which will allow you to easily edit these in Photoshop, which is super helpful, especially when adjusting the sky and the lighting, which is probably the most important part. Editing the renders after is more important than what you produce in the CAD software or the rendering software. Now, once you put it into Photoshop, you want to go ahead and use different lighting packs. There's so many free ones to download. You can edit the sky. You can add in alpha masks. If we want more tutorials on this, I think I have some on my channel, but please comment below if you'd like an in-depth tutorial on how to do all of this, because I feel like it's super important to be able to do it. But keep adjusting with the layers and finding that right sort of mood for the render, because each image has a different sort of mood. So obviously this one, I'm going for a more of a dark concrete sort of look, but others might be more bright and vibrant, and it really depends on your project and what kind of image you're going for. So there you have it. There is my final render. I did this a while ago, so I'm trying to jog my memory of how I did it, but it was, as you can see, it was just a process of keeping it simple, setting up the composition, the lighting, making sure it's efficient, and making sure that you only have to do the amount of work that people will see. If you need to see more tutorials on how I did the Photoshop and the modeling, I would love to do tutorials on that, so please comment below if you'd like to see that. And also the room back here, it's a bit empty. I'm gonna spice it up in the future, so look out for that. Please subscribe and comment if you enjoyed, and yeah, see you in the next video. Cheers.